Hello and good evening, everybody. Welcome, America. This is Marcus, Made in America. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. We've got a great show planned for you tonight. Oh boy, so many awesome things have been going on over the past week that I just could simply not be able to recount them in just 1 hour. And it's just stuff happening every day. So before we launch into this, I'd like to say this show might be rated NR-17 because it probably should and might should, because there may be violence, language, or sexual situations or insinuations. And if you guys are weak of heart or weak of constitution or don't believe in the Constitution, you should probably not watch this because you might be a little too soft and feel hurt. But understand and trust, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, and I love you all dearly. Welcome to the show. All right, you guys. Thanks for tuning in today. We should probably record that. What do you think, Austin?
What are we recording? The show?
No.
We always record the show, Marcus.
We're recording the show. But I meant like the NR-17 part. Not that that's
just play that like during the countdown?
Yeah.
Oh, that wouldn't be a bad idea.
So we are here on the We the People Podcast Network. So we've got a whole bunch of great shows on the network. So definitely tune in. It's not just me, it's other great patriots as well. We've got Kimberly with her show, Kimberly's Revolution. We've got Jose's show, which is Jose Politically Correcting. And we've got, what else do we have, Austin?
There's Real Talk with Matt Fritz.
Oh, yeah.
That's Tuesday at 6. We got Freedom with Chad Hummel, yes. Tuesdays at 4. And Pop Culture Partisans, Wednesdays at 6.
I think there's a couple of people I know that are on Pop Culture Partisans. Who happens to be on that show?
Oh, no, that'd be me. That's
really?
My show.
That's your show?
That's my show.
Yeah. Oh, man. Awesome.
Talking about the entertainment industries.
Oh, my.
See, there I am.
There you go. All right. Okay, so let's jump right into it. So this week, so much stuff has happened. I could barely tell you where to start. So, you know that they used to call people crazy for saying that the government controls the weather. The government's controlling the weather. And when you talk about stuff like HAARP, you know, they don't want to talk about that. If you don't know what HAARP is, look it up. It's a special electronic station, broadcasting station in Alaska. Check it out and check out some of the stuff that they say that it does and some of the purposes that they say that it serves. We're not going to jump into that too far. I don't want to go too far out into left field automatically. But so for years, the government has done experiments to be able to control and guide the weather. I believe the first test experiment by the U.S. government officially traces back to the Army, where they were spraying, I believe it was, silver nitrate they started or something in the sky to help create clouds to make it rain. And this was like in the 40s, okay, on paper, which actually originated from some earlier experience from like 1926, but that's a whole nother conversation for another day. So we've got this history of people saying that the government is able to control the weather. And people are like, you know what? You're crazy. That's not a real thing. The government, nobody can control the weather. So then they started talking about things like, well, climate change. So if climate change is happening and it's occurring, we should change the weather so that we get better weather. Well, wait a second. You said that we aren't able to control the weather. And now you're suggesting that we can control the weather, and you're calling it, oh my goodness, what were they calling it? Geoengineering. Yes, that was a new term for it. Okay, geoengineering. But I still call it terraforming, because that's really what it is, changing the environment so that it suits your own needs. And it's legitimately what we would need to do to terraform Mars so that we could live on Mars. If you believe that we could live on Mars, if we could live on Mars, if the Martians don't want to destroy us all anyway. That's if there are any Martians left. But anyway, you know, let's not go too far into the weeds. So as far as the type of climate control and stuff that we've got going on, there were a couple of things pitched over the years that I thought were kind of interesting. So It's been said that the government can control earthquakes with things like HARPs. They can control tidal waves and stuff like that, and tsunamis and things like that with projects similar to HARP. So it's very interesting that all of a sudden we've got all of these very interesting natural disasters all across the world. Now, hold on. Hold on. Marcus is not saying that the government is creating all of the natural disasters all over the world. I don't want you to get that idea. That's not what I'm saying. However, we definitely must be able to control certain aspects of the environment and aspects of weather, considering the fact that we've been experimenting with it on paper since the 40s. Now, here's a very interesting thing. One of the suggestions to stop or prevent global warming was to refreeze the Arctic. Now, that sounds crazy. However, it would only take $4 billion to refreeze the Arctic. That's actually really sensible and sustainable if you could get China and Russia and everybody else on board, because they want to drill up there and break up the ice so that they can get the natural gas and the oil from up there, as well as have a northern passageway to come up here and attack the US and invade Canada and stuff like that. So they wouldn't go for that, but it's a feasible idea because the cost is there, you know, instead of all of these other lovely things that they keep trying to push. But that's neither here nor there. Let's talk about the climate control of the world. So about a year ago now, it was said that China had a project where they were actually planning to make it so that they would be able to control the weather in an area the size of India. Yes, an area the size of India inside China. So they were going to use it to change the climate in that area because it was becoming extremely dry and they were experiencing a lot of desertification. Now, this is interesting because they tested it out on a small area and it actually really worked. But now they're having too much rain in a large amount of places. And, you know, I kind of thought that they would be able to control it. Is this China that's creating the issues in China? So over last week, there has been some serious flooding, not just in China, but all across the world. But China has had the most interesting effects of the flooding. Austin, can you pull up some of the flooding pictures here that we have? So we've got, look at this subway. Look at this poor guy in the subway. Okay, it's flooding up to his knees in the subway. Now, let's talk about how this works out in China. So in China, they have this thing where they don't tell people when they release the dams, because if they told people when they were going to release the dams, then they would be culpable and they wouldn't be able to call it a natural disaster. So they make emergencies and they just release the dams, and all of the water just flows in, destroys all types of property, destroys and kills all types of people. And they do it like this so that they will not have to pay restitution. You heard it right. If they announced that the floods were coming or the dams were being released, then the government in China would have to pay restitution, and they don't want to do that. And in this one city where you see this gentleman in the tube, he's all up to his knees. Hundreds and hundreds of people have died in the transit system in China because of this flooding. They said over 22 provinces and cities have experienced flooding of that level, and that's insane. There was even this one city, I want to say it was Shuizhen. Oh, wow, that's not right. Shuizhen. Oh my goodness. Somebody that knows Chinese, please correct me if I'm wrong. Shuizhen. I'm going to stop trying to pronounce it because I'm probably doing it a grave disservice. Anyway, they had this lovely tunnel. It was a nice, long, big tunnel. It was right about rush hour, and all of a sudden, all of the water just rushed inside. Can we pull up that picture? So we've got a picture here of the aftermath of these cars just strewn all about. And it's horrible. There was a story of one young boy who was inside the tunnel on his motorbike, and it swept away his motorbike, and he called his friends on the phone, By the time the friends got there, the whole tunnel was flooded out and the boy was nowhere to be found. It's terrible. It's terrible. And they couldn't get to him because there was just too much water. There was a lady who actually escaped by holding onto a pipe in the top of the tunnel. And she said that when they realized that the water was over the tires, they tried to get out of the car. By the time that they got out of the car, it was up to their chests. Terrible. It just all happened so quickly. And this was during rush hour. So you could imagine how packed it was. Just look at all of these cars strewn about if you're actually watching us on the video format. It's just insane. Insane. The just egregious loss of life. It's just so sad. And do you know that Chinese authorities were preventing people from getting over there so that they can so that it wouldn't be able to take pictures or things like that? They just didn't want people to know what's going on. And now that the cleanup is going on, we don't have pictures of this, but this is crazy. They're putting people's bodies into styrofoam boxes and carrying them out, and they still won't allow people to be near the area to take pictures. It's just horrible. Horrible, everything that's going on right now. I thought you could control the weather, China. What's going on? I don't know. And I couldn't tell you. But in other news, we also have it where in Saudi Arabia, they're making it rain also because they've got these machines that'll spray stuff into the air clouds. And excuse me, how do they do it? They use electrical discharge to accumulate clouds in the sky to make it rain. It's kind of awesome, actually. And they are in pretty much the whole country is a desert over there. But that is very interesting that they could do it like that. So we've got some very interesting happenings on the world right now. And just so many things going on. You look at it like this. With everything going on in the world, all of the rain, all of the earthquakes, all of the floods, all of the forest fires, you can't really call it. Where is it all coming from? What's all going on? Is it really the governments of the world that are behind all of this? Or is it something more serious, maybe more sinister? Is it the world's elites that are working on this with the world's governments to depopulate the earth? I mean, hell, I don't know. Who knows? It could be anything. It could be anything. It really could. But with everything going on between the serious issues on the earth, with all of the environmental catastrophes and what's going on with this, we're calling it a virus still, right, Austin? Still a virus? Still a virus, pandemic, something?
Yeah, the virus.
International world affair, something, whatever it is. So we've got this virus that's allegedly taking people out left and right. But that's a whole nother conversation. But it seems like, at least if the elites and the governments of the world are not behind this, it seems like the world has a serious vendetta against humans right now. It seems like maybe we have gone too far and we have done too much. Either that, or maybe it's something else entirely. So with the climatic shift and everything going on with the viruses, we've got a whole bunch of stuff going on in California and the whole West Coast. I think we're in a heat dome, they're calling it right now, Austin. Is that what they're calling it? A heat dome is all over America right now. Where in America, everything is just going to be hot because of the low pressure and the high pressure and all of these things that are coming together to hold the heat in the country and the nation, which it seems to be a different reason why we're having a heat dome every day, but its effects are being felt all across the country. We're definitely feeling higher, hotter temperatures, which brings into question when we were told about global warming. They were like, oh, it's going to raise two degrees or 1 degree or 2 degrees, and we must stop it from raising 1 or 2 degrees. But now they're still talking about it raising 1 or 2 degrees when we're seeing 10 or 20 degrees raises in temperature. It's very interesting. So what's really going on with all the forest fires that we're seeing? And we've got one very interesting forest fire in California right now going. It's called the bootleg fire. It's not funny, people. It's not funny. Yes, the heat dome. It's not funny, but it's called the bootleg fire. Now, if you're on, I don't know if this is an East Coast thing or if this is a generational thing, but bootleg over here in this generation and on this coast means that it's fake or it's unreal. Now, I guess maybe bootleg is an area that it came from, but it's kind of a funny name for a fire because this is an extremely serious fire. Apparently, it's already overtaken 150,000 acres or something like that. So it's an amazing fire. So much so that we're experiencing a heat dome. And we're getting all of these blackouts of the sun where the sun is turning a bright, nice, rich orange, like a nice tangerine or maybe a peach. So it's just so beautiful and awe-inspiring and terrifying at the same time because the sun should not be like that and you should not be able to look directly at the sun, right? You know, they made fun of Trump when he looked directly at the sun during the solar eclipse. That's funny, but we're not going to talk about that. Anyway, so with the fires blocking out the sun and stuff like that, I mean, well, it's interesting that there's blocking out the sun because don't they have a lot of solar energy over there? And now California is saying because of the energy shortages and rations, you should not even charge up your electric vehicle. Now, I love me some Elon Musk and I love me some Tesla. There are other companies out there, of course. But if they're telling you not to charge up your car, well, what are you going to do for transportation? Aren't they trying to get rid of gas-powered vehicles? No more petroleum, right? I mean, what's really, really, really going on? These are things that you have to ask yourself. And these are things that have been the fault of government or being implemented by government in America. So this is kind of man-made issues in America. So would we say that that's made in America? I'd say it is. But with all of the fires and the electricity shortages in California, now we have to have all of the California residents that have the ability run away from California. And a lot of them are moving over to Iowa, excuse me. And oh my goodness, we don't have a picture of this, but if you see the governor of Iowa, he looks like he's the governor of Iowa. He's got this old 1800s beard, and he just looks like that guy. If you could find his picture, Austin, that'd be fantastic. And he was talking about how the people in Iowa is it Iowa or Idaho? I might mean Idaho. Excuse me. Idaho. My bad. Not Iowa. But people are moving very awesomely to Iowa as well. So he's like, don't move, don't come here. I'm going to find out the guy for the next one, and we're going to do a whole little piece, and I'm going to try to pull up his speech next time. So he's like, hey, listen, you're coming here. You're trying to make it with the same principles that you've run California with. You can't do that. That just doesn't work. You destroyed your own state. Now you want to come here, and you want to make our state like your state? We don't want it. They're also doing the same thing to Texas. Abbott's on their behind down there. And he's like, listen, don't make our state like California, you know? And it's just interesting how all of these people who have voted for all of these terrible policies that have destroyed their whole state, increased the price of housing astronomically, caused food shortages, energy shortages, and everything else, now want to move to other states and take their failed policies there. Why? Why would you do that? Clearly they didn't work, but you have them so ingrained in your head that they're awesome and they're fantastic that you want to take them with you, but you're running away from where you came from. Why would you do that? Nobody from these communist countries are trying to bring communism to America. They're running away from communism because it's bad. And they get here and they'll tell you that communism and socialism is bad and they don't want it. But these people in America that want socialism or want these type of ideals pushed here are destroying our nation, and they're destroying good states, good conservative states that have good policies that are being implemented, that are working, okay? And if we take that into account, we'll talk a little bit about the shutdown of California and New York and how California's shutdown and mask mandates and New York's shutdowns and mask mandates have given them the highest death tolls in the whole nation, even though they shut down. And there were many states that did not shut down at all or did not have mask mandates, and they did not have remotely as close a number. Now, I don't know if you've been following what Cuomo's got going on. I'm in New York State, you guys, just so you know. So Grand Governor King Cuomo is over here, and he put all of these people that were sick and ill into the nursing homes and caused a ton of deaths. He knew that they did not have the adequate facilities or the adequate equipment to take care of them. And he put them in there. He said, here, shove them all in there to account for much more deaths than necessary, to account for much more sicknesses than necessary. Because, well, let's talk about the virus for a moment. It really, 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 really allegedly is a real serious issue. But it's a real serious issue that tends to affect the predominantly elderly and the predominantly chronically ill. So why on earth would you push these people into these closed off facilities with more old and sick people? And you just set up all of these extra new hospitals and had Donald Trump send up a whole giant ship to actually support the hospitalizations of these type of people, and you retrofitted all of these other places to be field hospitals and everything. And it's crazy. It's crazy. You had all of these things and you did not even use them. You did not use them. And all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, everything is not my fault. I didn't have reason to believe the things that I had done when I did them were things that should not have been done when they were done, when I might have thought about them. And yes, they had the ship built. That's exactly what I'm talking about. It's really, really crazy. What Cuomo did. And now all of a sudden the federal government has dropped the investigation into the nursing home fiasco with Cuomo and 3 other governors. Don't quote me because I don't remember their names, but it's Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Jersey are the other 3. So all run by Democrats, okay? All with extremely poor policies, okay? And why would you send the sick people into the nursing homes? Like, that's where the other sick and old people are that are already at risk. Like, we knew that if we only knew one thing about this virus, we knew that it attacks the sick and the elderly. So why would you send them where there are more sick and elderly? I don't know. That's just me, thinking with reasonability. It just really doesn't make much of any sense at all. So now Cuomo gets a reprieve for that. And it's just, everything is oakley dokley. I mean, it's just madness. Thank you for that. There go the names. So we've got this whole issue now today. Cuomo was at Yankee Stadium and he got on the television. Oh my goodness, Jiminy Crackers. Okay. I want Cuomo not to be as terrible as his policies actually are. Okay. So when I talk about him, please understand, it's not that I dislike Cuomo himself, because I'm not able to get past the fact that his policies are causing serious issues with my state. Okay. Like, I'm not able to get past that. I don't even know if I like the dude or not, because I'm not able to get past his policies. The policies are severely impacting my constituents and my state as a whole. So now all of a sudden today, he's like, yeah, we're going to send people out door to door to encourage people to get vaccinated. So wait, Cuomo, where's this money coming from? Oh, we've got $15 million we're going to spend on it. Oh, $15 million? Cuomo, where's the money going to? Oh, it's going to these nonprofit organizations. It's going to where? Are there going to be receipts? Are these your people? Are these your friends? Are these your cohorts? Do you know these people? How are you related to them? Why are they getting it and not other people? But why are they getting it at all? This is extreme and gross government overreach. And I know a lot of people very firmly believe in the vaccine, okay? This is not a hit piece on vaccines. This is about government overreach, okay? The government should not be able to come to your house and coerce or use other means like basically blackmail to encourage you, which is like racketeering really, to get a vaccination when the vaccination is, one, not approved by the FDA for wide use. Excuse me. It's just still for emergency use only. On top of that, you don't know, okay? You just honestly don't know what the long-term impacts and effects of this vaccine are. So you're going to everybody's house door to door. We're already seeing issues with it. And they're saying, oh, well, it's a small scale. It's not hardly anybody having health effects. But what if that's the weakest among us that are having those ill health effects? What if that's the weakest among us and they're just experiencing it first? We don't know if other people will experience those symptoms in 6 months, a year, 2 years. What'll happen to them? What'll happen then? But the government is starting to come out to your house to tell you that you should get this. Why? Why are they able to do that? Why are we letting this happen? This is something that should be curbed immediately, whether you believe in the vaccine or don't believe in the vaccine. This is about government overreach. Not only is it about government overreach, this is them spending your tax dollars for nonprofits, which they should not be. Okay, let's talk about it. Let's really, really get into the nitty gritty of this. This is just insane that we're just letting this go on. Okay, it's coming from the White House. The White House is like, yeah, we're going to have people go door to door to come to your house and convince you to take a vaccine. Now, here's a very interesting thing about it. Okay, because we know it all goes back to dollars. Okay, so here's the interesting thing. With what the government has said that they want to do on the federal level, transitioning into the state level, coming to the local level near you. Governor Cuomo was on the TV today and he said, yes, it's mostly in Black and Latino communities that these vaccination rates are so low. So we're going to come out to the Black and brown communities and we're going to convince them to take these vaccinations. Wait a second, pause, Cuomo, pause. Okay, where's the insulin, bro? Where's the free insulin? Okay, you're running lottery for school children to get vaccinated right now, but you're not giving out free insulin. You're not giving out free heart medicine. Okay, you're not giving out free gym memberships. Okay, when you know that we have a serious issue with obesity. I live in Rochester. Would you like to know that almost 41 to 50% of the population in the city that I live in is obese? Okay, but the outside townships and surrounding suburbs, the rate is only about 19%. Okay, so where are the free gym memberships? What's really going on? It's really, really crazy. Then the day before yesterday, the CDC said, you know what? These PCR tests that we've been giving people don't work. And they said that the companies that are doing them should work on setting up tests that can tell the difference between COVID and influenza. And it really starts to make you wonder, since the flu just kind of disappeared, were the testing positive for COVID when it was really influenza? Were the testing positive for COVID when it was really pneumonia? Because the number of COVID/pneumonia deaths versus the number of just pneumonia deaths that you see, if you go and you look up the information on the CDC website, will be amazing. Okay, go check it out. Okay, it's just very interesting. Now they want to give the vaccines to children, okay, under the age of 10. Realistically, let's be honest. This is really close to gene therapy. They say that it's not changing your genetics, but if it's creating proteins and it's using mRNA, it really is changing the code of your cells. And when the cells replicate, they're going to produce that new code. Like, that's just how cells work, okay? So I mean, it's just really, really very interesting when it comes to stuff like that. And let's be honest. Let's say you really very much truly believe in the vaccine, okay? I believe in gene therapy. Don't ask me about my feelings on the vaccine. We're not going to talk about that. That's for a whole nother video, okay? But let's be honest. With the vaccine, okay, it is very close to gene therapy, and it should not really be given to anybody who's under the age of 25 because your cells are still growing and still developing and you are still not fully mature. So you're trying to edit the code in cells for people who are not fully mature and fully developed yet. I mean, just think about that. Does that sound right? Especially when you look at the extremely low numbers. I think it's something like excuse me, I lost the camera for a second. But I think it's something like 0.6%. I'm sorry, I told a lie. 0.06%, okay, is the infection rate for children, okay? And that's just insane that you're trying to get them to take the vaccination when you don't even know the long-term effects and don't have studies on it. But man, Cuomo, man, I can't even talk about him. But let's hop back over to California for a second. And lovely California. So California is recalling Governor Newsom right now. So that went through. And there's a whole bunch of people running, including Caitlyn Jenner. You know Caitlyn Jenner, right, Austin?
I think I've heard of her.
Yeah. So Caitlyn Jenner used to be a very, very famous swimmer. That's, or was it a weightlifter?
I thought it was track and field.
Track and field, is it?
I don't know.
Hold on. That's when she was known as him, which was Bruce Jenner, which was before my time. I wasn't even alive. I don't know. I have no clue. But Caitlyn Jenner is running, and that's interesting. And there are, I believe, 16 other candidates running. But Larry Elder is running. He's a conservative talk show host, and he's been very outspoken about all of his politics and everything for the years. He's actually now the front runner in polls for recalling Governor Newsom. And I think that's amazing because California tried to shut him down. They said that his tax returns were not redacted properly when they were submitted, even though the Secretary of State has the ability to go and edit that. So he had to take them to court because they didn't want him to run, and they tried to shut him down. He took it to court and he won. You know what? Big ups to Larry Elder. Do we have a picture of Larry? Do we? I don't know. We're going to see if we can find a picture of Larry. We might have him up here. Oh, there he is. Look at him. Okay, that's Larry Elder. Okay, conservative talk show host and definitely very cool dude overall. So check him out, see what he's about, see if you like him. If you like him, support him. And hey, just keep it conservative, all right? We need some more traditional values, especially in California, some more reasonability, especially in California. That being said, over here on the East Coast in the city of Rochester, me, Marcus C. Williams, hi guys, I'm running for city council in Rochester, New York. So just for a little plug here for myself, my website is Marcus4Rochester.com. So Marcus4Rochester.com. Go there, check me out. It's got a link to my Facebook page and Instagram and stuff. And please, definitely donate to my campaign so that I can get our conservative message out and I can make stuff happen in the East Coast. Even if you're not on the East Coast, if you're on the West Coast or Southern or wherever you are, definitely pitch into my campaign, donate so that I can make some stuff happen because we are in a democratically held city and almost everybody is Democrat here. And it is an uphill battle to get some conservative and realistic values put back into our city. And we need it. Our murder rate right now is higher per capita than Chicago. Please help me help my city. Help me help our state. Help me help our nation by restoring conservative values to my local city council. So please go to Marcus4Rochester.com and donate to my campaign so I can make some stuff happen here. All right. So going back over and hopping into the Midwest, we've got Missouri where they're launching a lottery so that you can actually get money for being vaccinated. Kind of like what Cuomo is doing in New York State with giving people lotteries for school children for actually full scholarships, which is weird because they already had full rides to New York State colleges if they decided they wanted to stay in the state for 4 years after they graduate. I don't know, man. This dude he says a lot of stuff that is different than the other stuff that he says. And it's just very, 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 very weird. It's just very weird. So that's going on in Missouri. Now, hopping back over to California for a second, there is a federal lawsuit about Governor Newsom, the guy who's being recalled, and how he shut down private schools. So the federal court of appeals said that what he did was gross overstep of his powers as a governor. And they said, no, dude, you're wrong. What you did was wrong. They said it was okay for you to close down public schools. That was within your authority. But when you went to go shut down private schools, you did too much. So that got overturned. And that tells you where that's going for the future. We also have just some very interesting things going on in California right now. I'm sure that you've heard about all of the crazy people that are homeless vagrants all up and down Venice Beach and everything there. And they're trying to get them out of there and stuff like that. It's just a whole lot that California is going through right now. In the meantime, all of the rich liberals and mid-level liberals that have money are all fleeing the state. When the poor people and the people who really care about the state are trying to do something to change it. So in LA County, they're bringing back mask mandates even for vaccinated people. Dr. Fauci got on the TV the other day. Oh boy, Grand Dr. Fauci. He got on the television and he said, well, we should bring back mask mandates for everybody, including those who have the vaccine. But I thought you told me the vaccine works, man. Like, I'm really trying to believe the science. I'm really trying to believe what you're telling me. But when you tell me things like this, it just honestly doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. If you're vaccinated, why are you wearing a mask? Why do you still need to be 6 feet apart? If that's the case, nobody needed to get vaccinated. Okay. Like, for real. Like, if the people that are, they did a poll the other day that said that people who are unvaccinated now don't want to be vaccinated. That's what the poll said. It came back overwhelmingly. People who are not vaccinated currently don't want it. Stop forcing that vaccine on people, y'all. Like, and stop trying to segregate vaccinated and non-vaccinated people. Like, what is that to say about the vaccine? That does not promote cohesive thought about the vaccine. If you're telling me that the vaccine works, that means that vaccinated people should already be protected, which means that vaccinated people should be able to commingle with unvaccinated people and be perfectly fine. Like, come on. Come on. Like, Jesus. It's very, very concerning what we have going on here. So it's just, wow. So in another city in California, it's called, Montclair, California. And we've got a picture of this. Austin's going to pull it up for me. He's the best producer ever. So if you're watching the video link right here, you see this little yellow sticker on this lady's badge. So for government employees, they're making them wear stickers on their badges if they don't want to wear masks, if they're fully vaccinated, so they don't have to wear masks. This is insane, people. We need to get a grasp on what's going on in our country right now. They're segregating vaccinated and unvaccinated people. They're making you wear badges that have your vaccination status, which is definitely against your releasing your medical records to the public. I mean, it's crazy. This is really insane. And don't forget, in New York State and other states, we've got vaccine passports that they're trying to push. Now they've got the Canavax. I feel like it's called Canavax or Canavac or something like that, is the Canadian vaccine passport app. If you want to go visit Canada, yeah, that's a new thing. They just introduced that today. So it's just insane. I don't understand how we can continue to let this type of stuff go and people be okay with it. It is time to stand up, people. Okay. And I know many people believe very firmly in the vaccine. I know many people feel very firmly about what's going on in our country. And this is not about that. This is about our freedoms and our liberties and the fact that we've watched them be stripped away over the last year, last 18 months, even more. Okay. We are losing everything, that all of our rights that are in our Bill of Rights. Okay. Freedom of speech, freedom of assembly. I mean, just everything. Freedom to redress the government for their grievances. Okay. I mean, it's just insane. And they're segregating people again. Okay. They're segregating people again. This is not okay. And I had no plan to get into CRT today. We'll get into that next time, but it's just insane. And I'd like to give a shout out to a local Rochester group called Parents and Taxpayers. Shout out to you guys. I know that you're doing a lot of work where you're working to get them to curl back CRT and CRE and all of the other abbreviations and stuff that they've got going into public schools. Thank you so much for all the work that you're doing. But it's just crazy. It's really, really crazy. All of the rights and liberties that are being stripped away from us. Okay. One day we're going to have to do a whole episode just on the Constitution itself. Because people don't realize what's being taken away from them. They're locking you in your houses, telling you you can and are not able to go to church, telling you that you're not able to hang around with people, that you're not able to commingle with people, your friends, your family, other relatives, and stuff like this. And you're just going for this. You're just sitting down, rolling over and letting them go with this. Come on. Cuomo even said it himself. I want to say it was his October 26th press conference where he was like, he could never enforce these mandates and things that he did. He said the second that somebody would have stood up to him and said that they're not going to do it, there's no way he would have been able to enforce it. We have to pay attention, people. Please wake up. Our country is going all the way communist real fast, and we must stand up now. We've got Joe Biden, who did a town hall the other day, and he could barely string 3 sentences together. Like everything else that he was, go watch Joe Biden's town hall if you can stomach it. Okay. Like him, love him, hate him, watch that, and you will see that there is something clearly amiss with him. He is having serious cognitive decline. And this is not me disliking him or anything like that. That's got nothing to do with it. He is being abused as an elder. This is elder abuse. Look at what's going on with him. Okay. He just talked about all types of crazy stuff. If you want to possibly find out about things and stuff, and if your child wants to know if somebody was on the moon landing or not, or if the aliens are here or not, Biden, where are the aliens? You know about the aliens? Because you're saying the aliens, like specifically some people that you know about. What's going on there? But we're not talking about that. We're gonna talk about the Worldwide Freedom Rally. I actually went to one in Niagara Falls the other day. So all over the world right now, they're protesting all of these different mandates. In France, you've got today the bill for mandatory contact tracing and vaccine passports passed today, and that's terrible. That's very, very bad. So that happened in France today. People are protesting. On Saturday, there was a giant worldwide protest. In Australia, they're locking people down again. It's just so crazy, so crazy. People are protesting out there like mad. In Germany, you've got people protesting. It's just all over. In England, you've got people protesting. We need to stand up as America, as the leader of the world, for our freedoms, for our rights, for our liberties, before they're gone and nobody's able to speak up for us. The time is now, people. Stand up, rise up, and speak up. Speak up, people. We need to speak up now. If we do not speak up now, there will be nobody left to speak up for us. We are the leaders of the world. We've got people all over the world flying the American flag, saying that we demand freedom, we demand liberty. And in America, the American flag has become some sort of a crazy thing that you should not wave and you should not be proud of. And if you believe in the American flag, and if you believe God bless America, then you are a Trump supporter. Wow. You're a Trump supporter if you believe in our country. That's how far the left has fallen. Like, they don't even believe in the flag anymore. At least this is what people tell me and what they really honestly think. We have to stand up. Right, left, center, wherever you are. This is America. Do not let our rights and liberties be stripped from us right in front of our eyes. We must stand up. Massive government overreach. Nobody is standing up. People are scared to speak up. I live in New York State, and I'm probably going to get a little feedback from this, but in New York State, I live in Monroe County. The Monroe County Republicans are not speaking up. The New York State Republicans are not speaking up. They won't speak up about the goddamn vaccine passports. They won't speak up about the mandatory masking. They won't talk about taking the mask off our children's faces. They won't talk about any of our liberties and rights that are seriously being infringed because they're concerned about their election statuses, or if they can draw more money, or if it'll make them look bad. Aren't they supposed to be for us? Aren't they supposed to support our values? Aren't they supposed to talk about these things that are important to us? And I know it's happening all over the nation. Not every state. I mean, Florida's looking all right. Texas is looking all right. South Dakota's looking all right. We got a couple of states that are really standing up. Okay. But we have to do better. And as Republicans, conservatives, and anybody that's an American citizen, even the Democrats, we have to demand our rights and our liberties be upheld. Once they're stripped away, they are not coming back. And we can talk about the Megan Rimpo, the soccer lady. What's the soccer lady's name? Megan Rimpo. I think it's Megan Rimpo.
Something like that.
Something like that. Whatever her name is, pink hair lady. Okay, who is so obsessed with her political speech that she doesn't even want to train soccer well enough, and they get spanked by freaking Sweden. Okay, they're over there in the Olympics losing back and forth in all other ways. It's ridiculous. Same thing with the gosh darn American basketball team. How are you losing in basketball, bro? How are you, with all of the great players that we have in American basketball, how are you losing at basketball? I want to know. Somebody tell me, Please tell me, explain this nonsense to me. Okay, it's really, really crazy. I don't know where America's going, but we do have some true patriots that are there in the American Olympics. If you don't like America, you should not be representing America in the Olympics. Fuck you. Screw you. Go jump in the lake. And I meant what I said. And if anybody feels some type of way, kiss my natural something very serious. I was going to say something and I decided to throttle it back a bit. But yeah, we do have some true patriots over there in the Olympics that really support us. And a lot of Black Americans that are in the Olympics now are really, 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 really serious and patriotic. So don't think that Black people aren't patriotic. Don't think that some liberals aren't patriotic. They are. It's just a small minority of voices that are speaking very loudly, that are pushing this non-patriotic nonsense. But we did have a couple of wins so far. We had the American rifler guy, what's his name? William Shanner. Oh my God, this dude. Okay. He won at the 10 meter air rifles. I mean, I love this little jacket thing that they have. I want to get me one. It's just really, really cool looking. Okay. I guess it's for them to make them better at shooting or whatever the case is. I don't know why I need one, but it just looks really awesome. We've got, we won the first gold in Taekwondo. We won. Look at this awesome picture right here. This is the best American picture you can see. If you can see the picture right here. This is Anastasia Zolotok, or however you pronounce her last name. Okay, she won the first gold in Taekwondo for America, which is amazing. And I'm pretty sure it was one of the first ever for the women's gold for Taekwondo. So that's just awesome, super awesome. We also have, and she spanked Russia too, okay? So we were going against Russia, kicked Russia's whole behind hole all the way open, okay? Broke the whole foot off in there. And we've got, we actually won our first foil for the American Olympics too. Lee Kiefer. Oh my God, look at this. Look at this. Can we scroll up a little bit? Can we see this picture real good? This is an awesome picture right here. And look at her mask. It's just the American flag is on her mask. It's just so awesome. I don't even fence, but I need a mask like that because, you know, America, USA, USA, USA. All right. Go team. Okay. Wow, that was amazing. She won the gold for foil in I don't know what you call it, honestly. Foil is like fencing. It's a particular type of fencing. There are like 3 different types of fencing. I'm not exactly sure on the difference. I think it's about the position of the sword and the point of the edge, but really awesome. Also, how did we lose skateboarding to the Japanese? Like, how did we lose it skateboarding? Like, we invented skateboarding pretty much. How do we lose skateboarding? We're not going to talk about it. But yeah, so it's just a lot going on. And I mean, just all so much is going on. I just don't have enough time to talk about everything I'd like to. So you've got the January 6th committee being pushed by Nancy Pelosi and her nonsense. There were 4 Republican candidates that they wanted on there, and she just said no to pretty much all of them. But Liz Cheney is on there. You know that she is a freaking rhino. She shouldn't even be Republican at all. I don't know how we can let her still stay in the party. However, it's up to anybody to be part of any party that they want to, whether they're truthful or not. I'm not going to talk about her because she gives me a bad taste in my mouth because she was like the minority leader. Was it the minority leader? That's what her title was, right? And she just did not represent her constituents very well. She represented herself and said what she wanted to say. And it's not that she said what she wanted to say. It's just that if the majority of your constituents don't want that and the people that you represent don't want that, shut your mouth because it's your job. Okay, it's fine in your time to speak, not at that capacity as it, but when you're speaking at your capacity of it, you're doing the wrong thing, lady. You're doing the wrong thing. Okay, with this lady and with Nancy Pelosi, they appointed another anti-Trump person to the panel today for the committee on January 6th because they don't really want to look into the fact that Nancy is in the security role of the Congress, and that's her job. Like, security of the Capitol is Nancy Pelosi's job. Like, that's her job, y'all. Like Nancy Pelosi's job is to make sure that the Capitol is secure. She did not do her job. And let's be very clear. The reason why they evacuated the Capitol was not because of the rioters. It was because of the pipe bombs that were found at the RNC headquarters. Yes, I said the Republican National Committee's headquarters, and the DNC headquarters, the Democratic National headquarters. Okay. Both parties' facilities. So that was clearly the work of someone else, not pro-Trump people, most likely anarchists who want to sow nothing but division and destroy our nation. Okay, let's be really real here. I'm not a very big fan of Dick Cheney either. I love blowing stuff up and I love a good war, but people need to respect the way that war is to be waged, and that it has a very serious impact on life and ability to provide for your family, and takes serious costs on economies and effects across the world. And people don't talk about that. That's why I do my best to promote peace instead of war, even though I love it a lot, because people don't understand the serious ramifications from it. It's a mess. It's a mess. So let's talk about more of a mess. Let's talk about our esteemed richest person in the world, Billy Gates. Okay. Now, I love me some Billy Gates, okay? Bill Gates from Microsoft, I love me some Microsoft. Nobody can tell me anything wrong about Microsoft, even though Microsoft's got a couple of things wrong with it, but we're not going to talk about it. But Bill Gates, the richest man in the world, him and his homeboy, George Soros, are buying this UK company called Mologic, or Mologic. So they're buying, and they're a COVID testing company. So Bill Gates, yes, Bill Gates, the man who says all the things about vaccinating people and all the things about depopulating the planet, and George Soros are buying a company that makes COVID tests because, oh my God, there's nothing that can go wrong there, right? It's just beyond me. It's just really, really beyond me. We got somebody chiming in on Nancy knew about the Jim Jordan from Ohio and would bring up the security. Yep. That's right. She didn't want Jim Jordan on the panel because she knew that he would bring up her role as the head of security for the Capitol. But back to Bill Gates and George Soros. So Bill Gates and George Soros brought this COVID testing company. Why? Okay, but they also said that the PCR tests were extremely flawed, and Bill Gates has talked about that all along. Elon Musk has talked about that too. Even the time when he took like the 5 different tests and all of them came back different, crazy madness. But the PCR tests have been extremely faulty. And we saw that when the CDC the other day said that they have to be gone, that you have to get rid of them and stop using them by December 31st. Why December 31st? Austin, if they don't work, why wouldn't they get rid of them automatically? Like, why wouldn't they do that? Like, can you explain that to me, Austin? I don't know.
I don't know.
That is madness. Okay, so that there being done. Now, let's talk about Bill Gates, because Bill Gates is the richest man in the world. He's got a lot of interesting endeavors and stuff that he invests in. And one of the investments that he's making right now is investments in nuclear fusion technology. Do we have a picture of something up there for that? Yeah. Now, so for me, I really, really like nuclear fusion. I believe it is the clean energy wave of the future that is too often overlooked, capital-wise and production-wise. It's really, really good. It's got more benefits than solar and wind, and it takes less heavy metals and destruction of the environment to produce and create a facility for that. Okay, so I believe, honestly, almost every city should have its own fusion reactor, because they are really, really safe, and they do produce massive amounts of energy at extremely low costs. Now, the interesting thing about this is Bill Gates is investing into this extremely heavily. Now, Bill Gates also says some other things. Like, Bill Gates is a very, very strong person championing for climate change stuff. Just stuff in general for climate change. One of the things that he wants to do is, he says, you know, the best thing to do to help stop global warming is, well, it's for us to block out the sun. Block out the sun? Austin, do you know a really rich guy that tried to block out the sun Have you heard something like that before? Why does that sound so familiar to me? A rich guy blocking out the sun. Oh yeah. Montgomery Burns, Mr. Burns from The Simpsons. God dang it. The Simpsons called it again. Mr. Burns said he wanted to block out the sun so that all they would have is nuclear power. Austin, hold on. He wanted to block out the sun so that they couldn't use solar power and they could only use what? What was it, Austin?
Nuclear power.
Because he owned a what, Austin?
Nuclear power plant.
Aha. So the like, you can't make this stuff up. Like, this is real deal Holyfield stuff. The richest man in the world, who is heavily invested in nuclear fusion, wants to block out the sun. People, if you're not awake and you're not paying attention, you'd miss everything. Okay? So, I mean, and here's the crazy thing. His idea is to either spray some crazy type of chemicals into the air to create clouds to block out the sun, which Venus is way hotter than Mercury, even though Mercury is closer to the sun because of the clouds and the greenhouse effect. But we're not going to talk about that because that just kind of makes sense. But he also owns, is something like 1/3 of the arable farmland in the United States. And who else knows how much all throughout the world. So if he, like he said, he wants to just throw a whole bunch of dirt and dust up into the air, he really could. He's got the land. He's got the money. It's very feasible for him to do that. And that's very, very interesting. It's also interesting that we have all of these forest fires blocking out the sun and stuff like that. I mean, I just got questions all over the place. I mean, there's just so much stuff that you can't even make this stuff up. Yeah, yeah. You have the same, Jose, you have the same degree in climatology and medical degree as Bill Gates. That's awesome. That is really awesome because, you know, Bill Gates, with all of his not having any degrees in these things, seems to be the person that we go to and listen to about all of these things. Maybe it's his money. Maybe it's the fact that he continuously says he wants to depopulate the world because there's too many people. Maybe it's any of these things. It's just things that you know that you don't know. And with this guy, it's just always something new and creative. And I have to be real with you guys for a second. If the richest man in the world, who has both the ability and the financing to actually block out the sun, and he has the pull with the government to block out the sun, and he is heavily invested in technology that rivals solar technology, why wouldn't you listen? Why wouldn't you pay attention? The man is telling you what he wants to do, and he's already got a backup plan. So does that mean that we need a small child? We need a small child to take out Bill Gates? Do we have a picture of that in the future? We've got a picture from the future. Do you have that picture, Austin? Or no, we don't have it. Oh, there it is. Voila. We've got to get a baby to shoot Mr. Gates, okay, with his own gun. I mean, honestly, let's be honest. There's just too much going on in the world right now, and we need to focus on our rights and liberties. We really do. Our freedoms, our Constitution, we must uphold them. We must get back to our constitutional rights and liberties. We must focus on our values as Americans. We must focus on our dignity as Americans. We must unite as Americans, not as Republicans, not as Democrats, not as conservatives, not as liberals. We need to unite as Americans because that's what we are. We are all American. We all should be out here championing for our nation to be greater than it is. Our country isn't perfect, but it can always be better, and it's constantly improving. But if we let these communists and socialists continue to strip away our values from our school systems, our churches, and everywhere else that it is, if we let them continue to chip away at our Constitution little by little, if we let them chip away at our Constitution, it's going to be a country like we can't even recognize. We can barely recognize it now with all of the inflation that's going on. Please, people, pay attention. Write your congressman, write your local city council person, write your senators, state and and county legislator, right? Everybody stand up, unite with your friends, create groups to stand up for our rights, our liberties, and our freedoms. Because remember, we are all American. Okay. Love your nation, honor your country, and represent America's values. God bless America. Thank you for tuning in. Be blessed and be well.